I'm one of the few people that's been a senior executive at several motion picture studios and also raised over $20 million US of venture money and run some startups, both successes and failures.
Three, two, one. Welcome to another episode of Tech Break by
I will
Friday.
give you the stage so you can maybe give us some brief summary of yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me here. I hope this is a very engaging and hopefully actionable episode for your listeners. And let me synopsize why, for those people who are listening at home or in the car, this may be interesting. I'm one of the few people you will meet that's been a senior executive at several motion picture studios and also raised over $20 million US of venture money and run some startups, both successes and failures. And along the way, I've seen a lot of things that high performing people do to achieve and to do it in a sustainable way that doesn't kill you. So that's what I'm very focused on right now. I run a company called the Sukha Company. We make a website that helps people get into a flow state. So I would love to talk about what is a flow state? How is it helpful for you to do something valuable in your life? And overcome problems that we all have around distraction, procrastination, things we do that we shouldn't do, but we do. So,
Yeah, that's right. The people that tend to struggle most with procrastination are actually high achievers. These are mostly the people that they tend to procrastinate until the last minute in order to get something done. So, what's your opinion against that?
um, I agree with you that often people who are have the potential to be very high achievers struggle with questions of self-doubt, paralysis about starting things. They set a very high bar for themselves. So I'll tell you some of the problems that I wanted to solve. And maybe you relate to these, maybe some
Mhm.
of your listeners do. I found that in the morning, I would procrastinate if I knew, oh, Paraskevi, tomorrow at 9 a.m., I'm going to start. I have to write this blog post, right? At 9:15, I'd still be checking emails, that didn't really need to be checked, but I'd be doing it. 9:30, I'm scanning the news just to make sure I'm up on top of everything, and reality, it was procrastination. And I found there are a couple things that helped me. One was when I looked at why am I procrastinating, I realized either there's something I had to do that was too big that I just didn't know where to begin almost. It was a huge thing. And the solution to that was breaking it down into small pieces where I understood the small pieces and they were achievable. In 30 minutes, I could do this part of it, right? The other thing that stopped me was sometimes I would look at my task list and there'd be so many things on it. There'd be 17 things that all needed to get done. But it was almost paralyzing looking at the whole list of stuff, being like, where do I even start? Right. So I'll give you an example of something that I did is when we were designing our website, which is a flow state website, and I'll talk about a flow state in a moment. There's a place where you can type in what you need to do, or you can talk about what you need to do. And your smart assistant will help you break it down into pieces. Oh, here's how you can get that done in small chunks. And then as soon as you hit play, right in the center of the screen, there's a big play button. And the
Mhm.
play button starts your music. It starts your timer so you can see how long you're working, all that begins. The smart assistant hides everything in your task list except the top three. The three things you're going to get done today, right? So you don't have to spend the day looking at all those things that stress you out. They're kind of out of view. And you look up, you see three things, and I feel like, oh, I could probably do those three things today. That's realistic, right?
Yeah.
So the funny thing is with our members, when we tried this out, we said we want to do a thing that may help you because it helps me. Is we're going to hide everything except the top three. Our members, after we did that, became 77% more likely to finish all three than before when they could see that whole long list. And it's the same tasks, it's the same people, it's everything's the same. It's just that feeling of paralysis, that feeling of overwhelm where you're like, oh my God, I can't do all that, kind of goes away. And it really becomes more achievable. And I think a lot of what I talk about when I lecture, to universities and do podcasts is how do you just have simple things that help you achieve more?
I totally can correlate with that. be using this from now on. So I would just like you to maybe give us a bit of overview of what is a for someone who hasn't heard this before.
Yes. I know that there is a cohort of your listeners and they're like, I'm a flow master. I'm in flow states all the time. I'm super cool and productive. And there's also a cohort that's like, I've heard about it and I know it's becoming very popular in like the zeitgeist, but no one's really explained to me what it is, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So you're right. Let's set the table so everyone's on equal footing. Okay. There was a Hungarian American psychologist. His name is Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, and he had a thesis. His thesis was, if you talk to high performers in various disciplines, athletes and artists and scientists and inventors, they go into these highly concentrated states where they do the thing that makes them famous, the thing we know them for. And they talk about those states in very similar ways, even though they do very different things. And he's like, what's up with that? There's something to that state. So he did a bunch of research and he wrote a book. And the book is called Flow. It is the seminal work on this. It is why we call it a flow state. And he said the coolest thing. He said, I chose this word to represent what I found, which is, it is the most beautiful metaphor for the fact that we are all on the river, paddling to move ourselves forward. But if we align our boat with the current, it carries us forward. It magnifies our efforts and we go further and faster. And he said that is what these high performers have figured out how to do, and to do it repeatedly. It is a fascinating book, and that is where we get this concept of flow states. And he said very honestly, people call this different things. It is not like flow is the only word that's used. There's a famous basketball player in this country who had a quote. He said, when I'm in the zone, it's just me and the ball. This is Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
It's interesting because what he's saying there is, you know what, when I'm in my flow state, the whole world falls away, because really, if I control this ball, we will win this game. It's not about the stands. It's not about the scoreboard. It's not about even the other team. It is really all about me and this ball. It's a beautiful way to say, like, when I'm in that state where I'm doing the things that 30 years later will be on a highlight reel, is I accept that my world reduces down to a concentrated state. So Mihai said, here's some of the characteristics. If you want to know what a flow state is, you generally lose track of time. You're not staring at the clock. You're not going, oh, lunch is in 20 minutes. You're deep in the work and you're doing it well. Like, you're doing your best work. You finish the work without distraction. Like, just distractions fall away because you're deep in it. When you finish, you feel a sense of being elevated, of joy, as opposed to being depleted, like, oh God, I'm so tired, I have to go to bed now. And it's very interesting. And he said, some of the things that I see have to be true. One, you have to believe what you're doing is meaningful. If you think you're generating stupid reports for a bureaucracy that you don't care about, you're not going to get into a flow state. You're sweeping the floors, you're cleaning the kitchen, you're not being in a flow state, right? So you have to believe it's meaningful. Also, you have to have skills that apply. It is not Picasso trying to play basketball. It's not Michael Jordan trying to paint. You have to have skills that apply, and you have to be doing it at a level that challenges you. It has to be something where you have to engage with the activity to create a great slide deck or write a great book, create a new app, write some great code, whatever that knowledge work is. It has to challenge you. And he said, as you're doing it, you need to have some feedback about how it's going. Like, you have to be able to scroll up and read your blog post and say, like, how is this chapter good? You be able to run your app, be able to get some sense, look at the scoreboard. How am I doing? He said, you need a feedback loop so that you don't feel you're pouring energy into a black hole and you have no idea if it's good or bad, right?
Yeah.
So it's fascinating what he wrote. And basically what he said is applicable so much to modern life. And I'll explain why, which is, he said, if you want to do your best work, in a shorter period of time and do it a way where you feel uplifted as opposed to drained. He said, that's what this flow state is for. It is available, and you can train your mind, sort of train your spirit to fall into it. So it becomes easier. It's just like, any sport or something. So when we think about the modern world, and this is what I was really excited to talk with you and your listeners about, some of the biggest companies on earth, their business model is simply stealing your life, period. Full stop. And, 10 years ago, Mark Zuckerberg would have to go to the US Congress to testify about what he was doing to harm children, or whatever. And, he would be, sort of coy, like, well, Facebook's just about, grandmothers seeing videos of their grandchildren, right? And it's this whole theater production of lies and garbage about it. When now, if you look at Zuck, you look at Elon, you look at Evan running Snapchat, they have no problem on their earnings calls just saying, hey, listen, we're in the business of stealing people's attention. This is how much we stole this quarter. And we turn that into shareholder value. That's how they talk about your attention. It's shareholder value. And by the way, next quarter, we're hiring the best behavioral psychologists in the world to help us understand how to steal more of everyone's lives. And that will create more shareholder value. And that sounds very abstract, but it is as if, Mark Zuckerberg were to call you up and say, hey, Paraskevi, like, could I have your life? I'm going to sell it to these advertisers and I'm going to keep the money. But I'll give you some dancing cat videos. Is that cool? Can I have your life? I'll give you some dancing cat videos. Huh? Because he doesn't care if you end up 60, 70, 80 years old and you've done nothing with your life. He doesn't care because he sold the moments of your life to the advertisers and he has the money. And he bought another 500-foot yacht. That is what we're up against. And when you think about what is the meaning of your life, like why are you here? I believe, this is my thesis. Mihai had his thesis about flow states. I have my thesis, which is we all have something great inside us. And the question of this lifetime is, are you going to get it out or not?
Yeah.
And that tug of war for your life, on one side, there are trillion-dollar companies with the best engineers, the best designers, the best psychologists pulling that rope. On the other side of the rope, it's you alone. So you better have the tools, have the allies, have the discipline, or you're going to end up, 70 years old on the sofa, scrolling, double tapping, and talking about, I could have written that book. I had the idea to start that company. I could have done this. I could have done that. But what did you do? You scrolled. And that, I think, is crime. That, I think, is one of the greatest crimes against humanity right now.
Comes back to, like, I don't know if you have seen this lately, but apparently the new version of ChatGPT has become a bit emotional. So if
Yes.
you try to leave too early,
Oh,
it
yeah.
tries to keep you back in. And a lot of speculations around that I have seen on the internet. I don't know if it's true, but they say that they are planning to put advertisements inside their ChatGPT Atlas and ChatGPT website in order to keep people for more and more time in there. So you spend more time in their platform than other platforms in order to become profitable.
100%.
Exactly. AI is everywhere. We see fictional realities. Like we are talking about VR games, we are talking about worlds like Roblox, for example. Roblox is like big 3D AI machine, basically.
Yeah.
Uh, exactly. And all the time that you are spending building something inside a game like this, imagine that if you put this effort into building something in real life, what would
Right?
happen, basically?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Completely agreed.
And basically, no one can also take it from you because Roblox or Instagram or like whatever, Facebook can go down tomorrow in any minute if something happens. But like, if you write a book or if you concentrate on creating a company or a side hustle or
Mhm.
a blog, even whatever someone wants to, whatever is your dream, whatever
Yeah.
is your why,
I agree.
Yeah, you could do something that no one can take away from you, basically. A really good book, at least if someone wants to find their why. I don't know if you read it, maybe you will tell me. It's the Start with Why from Simon Sinek.
Yes, I know Simon. Yeah.
I read his book like some years back, and I keep rereading it again and again, sometimes when I need it. And I think if someone is pretty lost and they don't like even know what is their why, the purpose that you said before in this world, maybe they can give this book
Mhm.
a read. And
It's a great book. Yeah.
yeah.
There's another really good book by Cal Newport called Deep
Mhm.
Work,
Yeah. Yeah.
where he
Yeah.
talks about, how to do the kind of work, not the shallow work, returning emails, paying bills, but the deep work that moves your life forward or moves the life of your team forward or your company forward, like the
Yeah.
meaningful work that you go deep and it actually is powerful. And he is a big fan of monotasking and understanding
Yeah.
how your brain works. So I recommend that one very highly.
I would like if you could to tell us more about your website because you said
Mhm.
before that you have helped so many people not feeling overwhelmed, being more proactive with their tasks. So, how did you achieve that?
So here's the thing. After Mihai wrote his book Flow,
Mm-hmm.
a number of people have done amazing research on different aspects of it. Oh, what kind of music helps your brain get into a flow state? What kind of images? How do you time box? How do you create a sense of feedback? Right. So, what we did is very simple. A lot of people who want to get into a flow state, they have all of these different apps. They have a music app, and they have a Pomodoro timer app, and they have a task list app, and they have all these pieces. All we did for our Skype was we said, I'm a simple person. I just want to have one website that has it all with a big play button in the middle. That's all I want. So when I start my day, I open one thing, I hit play. It blocks my distractions. So I don't open up YouTube. I don't pick up my phone. It plays scientifically designed music that helps me get into flow. There's a timer so that I remember to take a healthy break, every 25
Mhm.
minutes, 50 minutes. There are breathing exercises you can do. You can do stretches, things like that. But just, stay healthy. You have to take care of your body as well as your mind.
Mm-hmm.
There's a way to track your tasks and see how you're doing time wise compared to your estimate. And you get feedback. You get a graph of how did you work? Where you get points as you're focused, as you're working. You lose points when you open Facebook or Instagram, things like
Yeah,
that.
sure.
You pick up your phone. So you can watch and see, and you can look back day over day at all of your graphs and see the patterns and see, like, oh, you know what? Every day, about 35 minutes in, I seem to have a dip in my graph. What am I doing? And you can put your cursor there and it says, oh, that's when you keep opening your phone. Every day, about 35 minutes, 40 minutes in, you open your phone. And it helps you say, okay, so I can either set my break to 35 minutes because I must naturally want to check my phone every 35 minutes. I can do that. Or I can be more sensitive to, oh, it's 35 minutes. This is when I normally open my phone. I'm going to be disciplined today. So you can learn in that way. And that's basically what the website is. It's a website to say, open this in the morning, hit play. And while you work in the background, it plays beautiful music, keeps you on track. If you pick up your phone, the assistant says, hey, I see you. Don't pick up your phone, And the people who use it finish their work about 30 to 40% faster. And it's not magic. It's just because it works with your brain to keep you in a flow state. That's what it is. And I'm very proud of it. It's probably the best thing I've done in my life.
I like it a lot. I would definitely give it a try afterwards, for sure. The thing is, I really like a system that will gamify your productivity, but also
Mhm.
it's not too distracting,
Yeah.
like because you're describing it, like it gives you what you need, but it's also you get points, you feel this reward of dopamine because we are humans, right? We're getting excited and
Yeah.
pumped up by dopamine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's exactly right. So
yeah,
when you try it, go into the group chat and say hi. You can tag me. You can at Steven.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I would love to hear your thoughts because everything you have to say helps
Mm-hmm.
me and Tony to improve the platform and make it better for tomorrow.
That would be great. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I think you are the best person to give us a prediction of where this technology and AI era will go in the productivity space in the next couple of years. We have seen like so many productivity apps coming up and up again and again, and everything promises something new and something faster, and maybe yes, but maybe no. But what do you think? What are your predictions? I would like to know.
Well, let me say this. Most of what people are calling AI right now
Mm-hmm.
are large language models, LLMs, right?
Yeah,
So most of the
exactly.
time people are saying AI and they mean LLM. And what LLMs are fundamentally is they're like a big version of Google autocomplete. So if you're typing and
Yeah.
Google autocomplete says the next character is probably S or the next word is probably this. LLMs simply do that on a larger scale where they're like, well, the next sentence is probably this, and the next idea is this. And they can string it together, and it seems like thought, but it's really just a probability engine running saying, oh, you probably want this because that's what other people have written before, right? So
Yeah.
it's the thing. A lot of what some people do is kind of like that. It's writing the same thing over and over. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
there are a number of jobs that are going to be lost, that are being lost now and are going to be lost
Mm-hmm.
because LLMs can do that sort of like just copy the last thing really well.
Yeah, for
Where's
example,
the opportunity? Sorry?
data entry. I have seen that
Yeah,
this has been automated. But
exactly.
yeah, it was also creative work. Like I don't know anyone who said I will sit for 8 hours next year and do data entry and was excited to do so.
Yeah. But even with some writing exercises, like how quickly the LLMs are getting better, like right now, a lot of it reads very AI esque. But
Yeah.
tomorrow it's better than today. Today it's better than it was yesterday, and they're improving, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it is to say that a lot of that thought that is, hey, I was trained on these data, I can kind of regurgitate them for you. Great. Let AI, let LLMs do that. That's what they do well, right? But in terms of original creation, that's still an area where we do things that are powerful and impressive, as humans.
Yeah.
So hopefully we evolve to where more of our jobs are at a higher level. And like you said, it's less data entry, it's less things that can be automated with an LLM. Now, there's obviously another branch of AI that's not LLM based, in addition to machine learning and deep learning and all that. But the
Fancy.
idea of systems that actually do learn, like they start by making mistakes and learning from mistakes, and
Yeah.
that might be a path towards a more general intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
People talk about AGI and super intelligence, things like that. That might be more the way in which computers, through the process of learning and making mistakes, become incredibly intelligent.
Yeah, sure, because this is also how we train video game agents to play against you in a computer. So they
Yeah,
play the game multiple times, and
right.
in the beginning, they actually fail a lot until they reach a certain training point, and then you actually see the learning curve and what they have learned, and they become better and better and better. So yeah, this is a whole system of reinforcement learning, basically. It's inside the category of what we call AI. Basically, everything is AI now, even
Yeah,
if it's
everything's right. My cereal is AI. I know.
yeah.
So, well, I
Yeah.
hope this has been valuable. This is kind of what we're doing, and let's see how
Yes.
things evolve the next few months.
I would love to try it out. I will leave all your links below in
Hmm?
the show notes for people to find you and find your platform. I think for everyone who is listening to this show and is a high achiever or wants to improve their life, this will be like really valuable. As the last thing, I would like to thank you really much for your time, that you are here and that you have given us all this valuable information.
I appreciate your inviting me on, and thank you. I look forward to talking more in the future.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
This was another episode of Tech Break by Friday. You can find us in all podcasting platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and more. Follow and subscribe in order to keep up with tech and AI videos. See you soon.